Welcome to the Real Biz Solution Podcast, the show that goes beyond the surface to uncover the real challenges business owners face, identify the systems holding them back, and explore practical solutions that create sustainable growth. Today, we're excited to welcome Reagan Bednorz. Did I say that right?
Yes,
To
you
the
did.
owner of Reagan Aesthetic in Lubbock, Texas, and she's helping clients look and feel their best through personalized aesthetic and wellness services designed around each individual's goals. Welcome to the show, Reagan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
Well, we're excited to hear your story and learn more about your business and what you're doing in Lubbock, Texas. You know, we had this discussion before. You know, I'm from Lubbock, so I have a special place in my heart when it comes to that town, and it's just so cool to see small businesses, fulfilling their dream. And so, what I first want to do is just kind of let us know, kind of let our audience know, one, how you doing today, and two, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Yeah, doing good. It's a hot day in Lubbock, but no wind or dust, so that's good. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I currently practice as a PA here in Lubbock. I am actually practice full time at the emergency room still, but then I have my own concierge business that I've started here in Lubbock. So I feel like Lubbock's kind of behind on some things, but we're slowly catching up to some of the bigger cities.
Yeah, no, I see that, and it's so cool because with Lubbock, there are some things that it catches up, and like entrepreneurs like yourself that see opportunities in the market. I think it's so cool that people are willing to take that step of faith, right, to start a business because it is a lot of work and it does take a lot of uh, uh, effort and work to get one up. So let me ask you, for someone that's meeting you for the first time, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? And obviously, you let us know that you're a PA and a background, and like kind of how you got started into this industry.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a PA, currently practice at the ER here. We have a level one trauma center. So that's where I started my PA career and then started my business now that I do concierge medicine. So do a lot of like medical weight loss, do a lot of hormone therapy, and then some functional medicine, a lot of gut health, and then some aesthetics, regenerative aesthetics. So neurotoxin, PRF. Prior to becoming a PA, I was actually a dietitian. So I got my master's in nutrition and I went on to be a dietitian. I wanted to do sports nutrition. So I did some internships at the collegiate level, like A&M, Texas Tech. And so that's kind of
Wow.
what I started with, which I did really enjoy. But then I just got more into medicine and learning, nutrition's a big piece, but there's so much more. So I decided to go back to PA school and that's where it kind of took off from there.
So, what was that specific experience, that moment that led you to create Reagan Aesthetic? Am I saying this right? Reagan Aes-
Aesthetic.
Aesthetic Aesthetic Health. Sorry about that.
Well, really, working in the ER, I think emergency medicine is really important. It's life saving, obviously, in modern medicine, but we just see, if there wasn't someone there for a life threatening illness, a lot of it was just chronic conditions coming in over and over. And a lot of times, from the ER standpoint, we can help manage symptoms, manage conditions, but um, a lot of it's a band aid. And then at the end of
Hmm.
it, so I've seen a lot of just these things that really could have been prevented, or a lot of people were on medications that they had no idea why, or just a lot of these comorbidities that a lot of lack of education. And so for me, it was kind of the opposite of everything I believe in when it comes to health. And so I decided to kind of see if I could create something to get ahead of it and to help people, just provide more education and resources before they end up, as someone that's having to come into the ER. And so that's kind of where I shifted my mindset. I think just our medical system, a lot of it's, reactionary. And so trying to be more preventative and get ahead of a lot of things that we're seeing right now.
Mm-mm. So, what does your brand essentially represent? I mean, what did you want the brand to communicate with your patients?
Well, when I first started, so probably not the best business strategy, but I was just kind of, I'm going to start this. Let's see what happens. And
I
so,
love it. I love it though. Hey, listen, that's how, I mean, if you don't start, you're never going to get it to where you
yeah,
need to get it to, right? Yeah.
so I've learned a lot in the that
Yeah.
year and a half. And it kind of helped me realize really what I wanted the business to become. So when I first started, I did, start with aesthetics because I do think, if we feel good on the outside, we feel good on the inside, whatever that might mean to someone. So started with trying to do both. With aesthetics, wellness, and then over time it's just kind of has shifted. So right now I'm in the process of rebranding. So I'm going to be switching my name soon. It's actually going to be Renova Advanced Health, and
Oh,
Renova
cool.
means renew. And so
Oh,
really a
love
lot
it.
of it
Love it.
is, yeah. So for me, patients with the brand and communicating to them is, I want them to come in and just have a renewed sense of, their well-being and what their purpose is and what their health can look like, instead of, maybe what they were told in the past or what they thought was possible for them. So giving people more options and, more avenues just to kind of become their best self. So that's kind of what we're shifting to right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's kind of like what I see what's happening, right? Because I honestly had a conversation this morning with somebody about that, like the holistic kind of approach of looking at specific things. And I think that's a very noble cause that you're trying to do. So let me ask you this. So, what is it about the work that you do that makes you get up every single morning and serve the people who you serve?
I think really a lot of it's just getting to see that in action. So someone who comes in and like one big thing I hear a lot is like I just haven't had anyone who will sit down and listen to me, and like really dig into this problem. And so if we can focus on that, sometimes it's just listening too, but then people, you can see their mindset shift, their energy, and then they're conquering these things we didn't think they could, or they didn't think they could, previously. And then I think a lot of it is just education too, getting to educate people. I think it's hard now. There's so much out there, and so, um, really getting to help people understand, what's going to be the best benefit for them and what's going to go a long ways. And so I think just getting to share knowledge is really, has been good for me.
That's great. And like, can you think of like a success story that would remind you why you started this business? I'm sure you see them on a daily basis, but is there one specific one that really stands out?
I think, yeah, one person and then maybe like a genre of people, but
Yeah.
one patient we had was always struggling with weight, gut issues, just not feeling confident. And so we worked on, all of that. So we achieved, weight loss, but then she really adopted the mindset, the lifestyle. And now she'll teach me things. She'll teach me nutrition hacks,
Wow.
recipes. And then she's running a marathon at the end of the year. So it's
Wow.
yeah, it's just
That
seeing like
is,
people's lives change and for the
mhm.
better, I think is really, been great. And then a lot of, menopause, perimenopause women who haven't slept in years. And we, with the sequela of fatigue or, weight gain, and then all of a sudden, they're sleeping and they're actually able to get to do these projects that they've wanted to in the past. So I think that group of people really has been great transformations.
That's awesome. So, like, what is something that maybe either your patients or your social media followers may not know about, your business, that you're trying to get the message out to them?
I think just maybe there's right now in this space there's so many people out there practicing different,
Mm-hmm.
um and I really try to value having education and the foundation of you know proper protocols and not just giving throwing things out there so people having to pay a lot of money for and not getting results. So I think
Mm-hmm.
just for me it's been putting in the time and the effort to, have the proper education to give people the results they need.
Yeah, and I could see how like you have such a passion for what you do, and it's hard to find, people who really care about the transformation that people make, and I can tell like you have such a passion in regards to that. Um so we're going to shift a little bit here. What would be like, what can you describe like how you currently get the word out to get people to acquire patients, like what's your current strategy today that can get your word, because so many people out there need your services. How are you doing it today?
Yeah, that's probably where I'm lacking a lot. Really, a lot of mine has been referral, word of mouth, um, which I think has been good for small business growth.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is word of mouth, and so people who came in, already had a friend or family who has they've seen the benefit. They could kind of speak, on their behalf, and so they came in with already knowing kind of processes, and then just having some trust in me already, and so I
Mm-hmm.
would say that's been the biggest. And then trying to get out in the community, just, being more visible in that aspect. And then anyone can book on like the website. And I try to post on social media, which has not been great, but that is
Hey, listen, you're like a one, you're right now, you're trying to do everything. I get it. Like small business owners, I've been a small business owner. I started my first small business in 2011, and I was everything, right? Like we become the
Mhm.
social media manager, we become the lead generator, we become the networker, we become the manager of the business. So no, I get it. I understand that. I understand that extensively. So if you were to say the percentage of your clients based on like either word of mouth or other marketing channels, what would that be? So would you say like 50% is word of mouth? I'm just throwing that example out there. 20% social media. How do you, where do you think it's at currently right now?
I'd probably say 80% word of mouth.
Wow.
Is about a few people who's just it's kind of spiraled. They'll tell one person, they tell the other. Um,
Yeah.
some like social media, just groups that I might be in or one of my patients are in. I've gotten a lot of
Hmm.
people, um, but I haven't really done any like marketing per se or advertising, other than just my own social media.
Yes. So like what would be like your biggest challenges that you face consistently attracting that, that patient, that new patient for services like the services that you offer today?
I think challenges would be just trying to get into that market.
Hmm.
Finding a way to get into those groups or that community that I think where most of my clients sit.
Yeah, and it's like with the word of mouth, I believe like that is like the top notch strategy, right, for a marketing aspect. Word of mouth, there's nothing better than somebody referring, to get somebody in, to the uh to your office. Is there a way that you kind of tracked whether or not the effectiveness of that is working, or maybe you have an ROI on your patient acquisition today?
A lot of it, so I do like a free discovery call, and so some of those patients might start with that, and then I just track, how many converted to visit, how many converted to long-term patients, and then from the website too, tracking like views, who booked from the website, but a lot of it's I don't have like a set tracking foundation right now.
Yeah, yeah, totally get it. And like the processes that you currently have in place and like following up, right? Who may express interest, maybe they don't immediately book an appointment. Do you have a way to reach back out to them? Is it just kind of like, what's your timeline typically as far as somebody coming on and like, you touch base with them and then you following up with them?
Yeah, typically about a couple of weeks. I just manually reach out, typically via like we have an EMR, and so email, and then I try to shoot out just emails to all patients, but people who have maybe expressed interest in the past, periodically, and that might be. every 3 months. But
Uh-huh.
typically after that first reach out, I try to reach out, a couple weeks after, and then maybe again a month later, just to put a bug in their ear.
Yeah, and like given the competitive nature of, as we spoke about your industry, what do you feel are like your biggest challenges in terms of going out and getting yourself out there in the market? And what do you feel is like a disruptive right now in your market today?
A few things, I think in this market it is so competitive, especially from the social media aspect. Being visible is a really big deal, posting content. And
Hmm.
so that's never been something that's come very natural for me. So trying to kind of get better at that space. Now, I have realized it's not, live and die by that. So there are patients
Yeah,
who don't really pay attention to that. So you can still have a successful business without having a huge
for sure.
online presence. Um,
Yeah.
and then it's, this space is a lot of sales, which is something you don't think about when you start, when, as just a medical professional, just coming in to help people, but a lot of
Yeah.
it is sales. And so getting out and selling yourself, selling the business, which can be very difficult, I
Yeah.
think has been a big challenge. How to sell yourself without, I think everyone should have the right knowledge and not be pushed into a service like this,
For
but it
sure.
is at the end of the day a service, so you have to know how to
Yeah.
like market yourself and sell. I think a disruptor is probably social media too. I think just because it's great, and I think it gives a lot of patients a voice and has helped patients be able to advocate for themselves more and have more confidence coming into visits and
Hmm.
maybe knowing different options that they didn't know before. But I think it also can, causes a lot of confusion. Maybe a patient that sees something an influencer did, they were on this protocol, well, they come in wanting that, and it might not be what's best for them, and trying to have them trust you versus the someone that they've been following for a long time. So I think that part can be a little bit disruptive, just trying to um, educate patients and proving to them that we'll get those goals, but it just might not look like someone else's.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say like your number one seller or maybe your number one service or maybe your top two services that you're offering right now that are people are just saying, I need that?
Just probably weight loss is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Medical assisted weight loss, and then hormone therapy are kind of my top two services.
Got it. And if you could maybe wave a magic wand, right, and one thing in your business to make it easier to reach your growth goals, what do you believe that would be?
Right now, where I'm at, I think it would be just having like a scalable support system. So having something that I could um, use to kind of do those back, or someone to use to kind of do those back end tasks, like the follow ups, the patient
Hmm.
outreach, um, and then keeping up with our current patients, making sure everyone's staying consistent. We're reaching our goals, but just freeing up some of my time to be able to focus more on the growth and the brand of the business. So some of those, day-to-day tasks, scheduling, and then just more of a patient kind of communication side.
Got it. And like, as far as a growth, like predictable growth, what does that look like in terms of acquiring new clients today? I mean, is there a way for you to predict that growth, or is it kind of just like you're just trying to get it, just deal with what you have right now? You're not even thinking that far because you don't have time, what does that look like for you today?
Probably that, I think if I could just have a consistent new patients every month would be able, and then as I'm working on, a lot of my patients are um, it's just recurrent revenue. So
Hmm.
we have a lot of, membership or package base. And so that helps. But then having a consistent new patient that are doing some of these long-term treatment programs. Um, I think as I go more full time, that's going to be a lot more important. I need to, have a certain number that has to be met, and making sure that that's on goal to
Hmm.
keep the business afloat.
For sure, for sure. So what would, let's just say, like, what would be a goal? Like, where would you like to see yourself, like, as far as like uh, patient acquisition? Like, how many patients would you like to see to where you could work in this business full time, because you ain't going to have time to do anything else, right? You're in it now. Where would you like to see that? Would it be 20, 30, 40? I mean, where would you like to be at in that realm?
As far as like
Yeah,
established
like,
patients.
yeah, like patient acquisition, like how many would you like to see come into the practice, right? Is there a specific goal that you're trying to achieve? Um, so that you can do this completely full time.
I think monthly, new patient acquisition, like a 10 a month would be a really good goal. Just because, again, it is me. And then a lot of these are long term patients. So we have a lot of follow ups, longer visits. So I would say now it's about 2 to 3 a month. So if we could get that, 5 to 8 and then up to 10, I think that would be a good way to grow.
Wonderful. And so what do you believe, how do you separate yourself from everybody else in the market, and what is the bigger picture of your practice today?
Right now, I think it's just really providing patients with what they are coming in and asking for, listening to patients as a future goal. We want to continue to provide patient services that they're looking for. And my vision is to have kind of a full service practice where we have not only just, medical weight loss or hormone therapy, but have a whole nother side where maybe we have a functional exercise area. So these patients who are on hormone therapy for
Hmm.
osteoporosis, well, we have them also working here, um, working on resistance training, so we can combine those practices. Or our patients who are working on recovery or gut health, well, we have red light therapy here at the practice that we can combine. And so making just like a full scale wellness center, which is I think a lot of the bigger cities have kind of gone to, but that is really the vision, because there's a lot we can do just talking, but combining these realistic or these foundational things with the practice would be the goal.
That's awesome. And so you're saying, so you would be thrilled. What you're saying is you'd be thrilled if you got 10 new clients every month.
Yeah.
That would make you like, all right, I'm done. I'm 100% all into this, and we're going full force.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, for me right now, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah. So when you evaluate things in your business, like if you're about to make an investment, um, or in either marketing or technology or something to help your business, how do you evaluate that? How do you typically evaluate?
And, I mean, looking at it from a realistic standpoint, clinic wise, is this something that's going to benefit patients? Is this going to help our patient outcomes for our goals, or for the business? And then looking at, return on an investment, for, long term patient success and budget wise.
Yeah, for sure. And so, with the focus on health and aesthetics, what is your thoughts on potentially leveraging AI powered systems to streamline your operations and essentially enhance your patient engagement?
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of this business is going towards. I think from a medical standpoint, AI can be used for a lot of different ways, for like charting, for example, just things that it can save so much time that we are having to do daily. But then patient communication too. Um, I know there's a lot of systems that you can kind of personalize and have it be that system that's reaching out to patients or following leads. Um, so I think it's going to be a very useful tool. Some of it's above my head, I would say, but that's why I don't create it. So
Yeah, yeah, no, I get it. And so, like, one of the things that I've learned in business, being in business for a while, is that you're really good at doing what your heart's at, right? And so, scalability that I see is you have to look at these things still need to get done, but you're like, how do I get all this stuff done? I'm still trying to take care of my clients and do certain things to ex- uh, essentially give your clients an optimal service, right? And so one of the things I learned was that, I had to learn real fast was when I had my first business, I was staring in front of my computer for 30 days. I had a brick and mortar, I had rent, I had product, I had everything. And I stared in front of my computer for 30 days asking myself the same question. How do I make sales? Right?
Yeah.
And one day, Reagan, it just literally clicked. And I was able to create over 10,000 followers on and at this time, this was the beginning, the wild, wild west of Facebook.
Hmm.
And every time I put a posting out, that was going out to 2.5 million people, and people were buying on my website in my sleep. So I'm a firm believer as far as, trying to get the word out. I truly believe you're on the right path as far as like word of mouth. Like you have the word of mouth strategy down. Why? Because your service speaks for itself, right? The testimonials and things of that nature speaks for itself. So, I mean, I'm super one excited to see you, taking the leaps of faith and doing being an entrepreneur and starting your business of things that you are passionate about, because that's the first step. Just like what you said, like I just wanted to get out there and do it because that's where your heart's at, right? Your heart is in like serving people, and that's such admirable. And knowing that, when your clients come to you, they're going to keep coming back because you are giving them a service, and that word of mouth is just going to spread and grow and things of that nature. So that is so cool. um is there like anything like you want to like talk about as far as, you know I know we spoke about this, like what your users or your patients, speak highly of your services, but is there anything like that we may be missing that you want the audience to know?
Hmm. That's a good question. Okay.
Just about maybe like how maybe your process is, and the reason why your process of how you take care of your clients, I guess, is the better question. What they can expect if they decide, hey, I want to bring you on board, I want to utilize your services.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is a lot of people will say this is the most like thorough initial consult they've had or doctor's appointment because we really do try to get to know um, the patient as far as like lifestyle wise. So we really dive into every aspect of health because it's not just weight loss, but are we sleeping, our mood, hobbies, and so I really try to make it a full service and a full lifestyle intervention. And then, they're I always tell people everyone's different. And so being able to be a provider who, is not just kind of cookie cutter with each patient, where something might not work for this person and we have to pivot and find a new thing to do or new method. And so that's, I think, important for patients to know that it's not a one size fits all, and that if something's not working for you, and I might not be the provider for you, but there are other people out there that might be able to help you. And so being able to, like I said, be an advocate for yourself as a patient.
That's wonderful, Reagan. um I want to thank you for your time, and I also want to see how people can get a hold of you. So if somebody wanted to utilize your service, how do they get a hold of you? What are your handles? Website.
Yeah, so the website is reaganesthetichealth.com.
Okay, wonderful. And is there a social media that they can look you up on or anything like that? You got a social media page?
Yeah, it's our aesthetics
Awesome.
on.
Awesome.
But again, I am going to be rebranding soon, so that will all be
Well, cool.
changing eventually. But
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah, great. Well, again, Reagan, thank you for your time. Thank you for just letting us know about your business and getting to understand that a little bit more. And it was a pleasure. Guys, again, please reach out to Reagan. If you're in the Lubbock area or anywhere up in the Panhandle, she can help you with the services that you're looking for. Check her out on her website, check her out on her social media. And this is the End of Real Biz Solution podcast. Till next time. Thank you, Reagan.
Thank you.
All right. That's good.